there, man. Give me a break.
Wide open. The hell are you doing?
Come on, John.
Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Let's go!
Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Mr. Oh my God! The hostile takeover of Donald Trump on Vince McMahon has happened at WrestleMania 23.
Let's go, Brandon.
My name is
All right, Section YY8 podcast coming to you for yet another episode. Football still hot and heavy, but we got a lot to talk about on this week's show besides football. But big story of the week is Tennessee football suffers their first loss of the season, so we're here to talk about it. Negative Knees coming to you from the Section YY8 studios here in the only one in America, Strawberry Plains, Tennessee. We've got Gavin, Big Montana, Day Vol, and Harb here with us. A full slate here tonight, Gavin. How's it going, Gavin? You weren't here last week.
Going good. I've lost a game and some facial hair since the last time.
Well, I noticed that, but what I really want to ask you is you weren't here last week. There's rumors swirling that you yourself went to the mines.
That's fake news.
Is that why you shaved your face? Because
Closet cat.
it was so dirty.
We saw the headlamp,
Gosh,
Gavin.
no.
We saw the headlamp.
I had to make sure they had to go back in the ground where they belonged.
Harb said he saw you walking out of Harbor Freight with you bought a cheap headlamp to put around your head.
Facts.
Fake news.
Fake news. Well, tell us, you weren't here. We'll start with this since you weren't here last week. Thoughts about Tennessee beating Kentucky 2 weeks ago?
I said it was going to be 56-10. I was pretty close. They suck. Will Levis, clown. Everybody's fake up there. And get back in the mines. And I love the story that you kept agging that Kentucky fan on. You shouldn't have apologized. You should have just kept at it.
I never apologized to him.
Well, backed off is
I
what
backed off, but
yeah.
I never apologized.
You keep putting it on them. That's what we did. So
don't let up. Put on more steam, right?
That's right. Send them further down into the earth. That's where they need to go back to.
Back to the mines. Well, Kentucky bounced back last week, but the Vols definitely had a lot tougher matchup. So Harb and I'll start with Harb. He was down there this weekend. He and I were in Athens before the game, tailgated a little bit, met his boy Tony. So in honor of Tony, I'm naming this week's episode, I Like Your Dress. And I'll let Harbin explain that in a minute. Where that comes from. But Harb, you were there this past weekend. Tell us about the game, the crowd. Just tell us about it. What do you think?
Well, we'll start with the game. Wasn't a whole lot of hope after probably 5 minutes in, I guess. It's pretty clear early that they were whipping our tail in the trenches. And there's a couple breaks that didn't go our way early that I think could have been momentum boosters to keep it tight, or at least tighter. Like when we only got 3 off the fumble, and it was 3rd and long. I don't know what yard line it was. It was in the opposite end zone of me. We had Stetson by shoelaces. He ends up running in for a touchdown, and that was right after we missed a deep ball. So instead of it being 10-0, we're down 7-3, and they just kind of never turned back after that. And then we got a torrential downpour in the process, so it made it even worse from a fan's perspective.
What about the crowd noise? What do you think about the crowd?
It's loud. It was loud. I'll give them their flowers. It was super cool environment. I will say the scoreboard was fake news. With the decibel reader, fake news.
Oh, big
So,
time. It was way off.
I don't know about your opinion, but I don't think it was as loud as the Alabama game. It was close.
It was very, I'll say this, it was very loud. There was one time in the third quarter, if you've ever stood next to a chainsaw that's running, like kind of close to it, that roaring sound that's in your ears. I heard that one time, maybe a couple times there in the third quarter. It was very loud, though. I'll give him that. Like you said, I'll give him that. It was very loud. They obviously made it hard on Tennessee. You could tell. I mean, we had wide receivers jumping offside. The tackles were jumping off sides quite a bit. But like you said, they kept putting that decibel meter up on the screen. One time they put it up on the video board. Nobody was doing anything, and it was jumping all over the place. 118, 125, and then it'd go back down. I looked at the guy that we were with, Mark Post, and I said, nobody's even cheering. Why is that thing on? That's when it started hitting to me like, and I don't know what UT's is like. UT puts that actual, it looks like the actual digital meter up on the screen. This was just like a graphic they were putting up that was going up and down. I bet it was anywhere from 105 to 110 decibels probably, which is what Neyland Stadium was when Bama was there a few weeks ago. But, it was loud, but I didn't think it was any louder than LSU was a few years ago when I was down there, or Ben Hill Griffin when Tebow and them were at their peak, or, I'm trying to think of anywhere else I've been. Georgia, Florida, and LSU's the three loudest stadiums besides Neyland in the conference. Some people claim that Auburn can get loud at night. I've never been to a night game there except this one this year, but they stink. So I don't count that one. But Alabama, I've been to some games there at night. And it's loud, but it ain't louder than Neyland Stadium. But I don't know. Georgia's probably the, top 4 in the conference. I don't know how you even rank them, to be honest.
Yeah. It was rough though. I ain't even gonna lie though. The rain. Did you go in the concourse for the rain, or did you sit there and take it like a man?
I sit there and took it. I was not. I told my uncle this. I was not going to because I had some words with some guys, a couple guys behind us. When we got down, I think it was 14-3. I went to the bathroom, and this doofus behind us was waving at me, goodbye. I had some words for him. You heard some of the words I said to the one guy when we were walking in. The guy had the hunting joke and the picking up garbage joke on the side of the highway. And I had some choice words for that guy, but I told my aunt, Melody was with me, and she's like, I'm freezing, I'm soaking wet. And I'm like, I ain't leaving. I am not letting these people see me walk out of this stadium. I'm going to stand here and take it. And I did. I stood there and took it.
That's exactly what I said to Tony, because we was in that section in that little corner with the UT fans, and they was waving at everybody when the rain started to hit because half of them left. There was 4 Georgia guys behind us, and I said, I'll be damned if you hit me with that. I'm going to sit here till the very end. I don't care how bad it gets. But
so the other 3 here, Gavin, Big Montana, Day Vol, they stayed home. They held the fort down here. So what do you all think about the game this past weekend? I don't care who goes. Somebody. Anybody.
Okay. I wasn't they got beat. They got dominated. But it wasn't all doomsday. Like most said, like you saw it on our Twitter. Oh, they're terrible. You saw the stuff. There's a lot of mistakes that cause that stuff that we can clean up and fix. And if you play them again, those things don't happen. You're fine. The Oregon to Tennessee loss is the same. No, it's not. We were driving again in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes to go. Did we connect on the deep ball? No, we didn't. But there was that opportunity. Oregon is playing against Georgia's second and third string to start the fourth quarter and finally get a field goal. The Georgia stopped trying to score. They stopped passing, but they were trying to run the ball efficiently, and they couldn't. So there were some positives, a lot of negatives, of course. Doesn't surprise me. They stopped our run, so they stopped our offense. That's the key. If you slow us down, run the ball, you're gonna make it very difficult for us to pass, and that's what they did. Kudos to them.
Yeah, I think after you take out the sacks, we rushed the ball. I think it was 3.4 yards per carry, which is not what we've been doing. We've been around 4.5 yards a carry. So that hurt, not being able to. And we kind of ran the ball a little bit in the second half, but it was not enough. I don't know. What do you think, Big Montana? I haven't heard from you yet tonight.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hey. I really expected UT to win. I wasn't happy about the game, but 8-1, first week in November. We would all have killed for this in August, for this kind of start. We're right where we want to be. Yeah, we're not going to be the SEC East or go to the SEC Championship, but we're still right there for the playoff. And if we take care of business, I think we're in. I don't see TCU running the table. I don't see anybody else jumping us, to be honest. I think we actually get to the number 3 spot by the end of the year. They covered our receivers. Clearly Hooker wasn't himself. I watched the game with a lot of people, and that's something hard. It's something that's kind of hard for me to do because, one, you have the drunk opinion, then you have the don't know anything about football opinion, and then you have the people that's never watched football before opinion, and then you have just the doomsdayers, and you have, hey man, here we go. Here's coming back. All we need is an onside kick, and we need to go for 2, and then we're going to kick a field goal with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. And but had a good time. I know for one thing, I will never go back to the Griff's house to watch a UT football game because it was clearly that was the reason why we lost, and that's for Chassie. I told her that like 5 times, and she was starting to get upset about it.
I do blame Chassie. You know who else I blame is
I blame Melody.
Yes, I blame
Sorry,
Melody. Oh, you're fine. Melody Niece had one job to do before she came to Atlanta to meet us, and that was to bring these JWTDG stickers for us to wear to the game, and she couldn't even do it. She claimed she had too much to do. Unbelievable. That's why we lost. Is Melody Niece is why we lost, and Chassie Griff.
Yep.
Our 2 culprits. Gavin, you watched the game on TV, did you not?
Oh yeah.
And you were by yourself, I assume. Just you and your cat.
No, I actually went out.
Oh no!
No, I changed.
You went somewhere besides your house?
Yeah.
That's why we lost. There's number 3. Good grief,
We're a
Gavin.
group. We're a group full of jinxes.
What in the world? Harb and I wore our same outfits that we've worn all year.
Outfits.
Our outfits,
our
whatever.
But
You
no
want.
sticker.
I took
The
a little.
sticker was the
outfit
key.
We
picture.
didn't have the sticker.
So
what did you think about the crowd noise? Could you hear it on TV, Gavin?
it seemed pretty loud. I don't know. We just couldn't get in a rhythm. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't threaten them. They were clearly a more talented team than what we have, but just if those deep balls would have went a certain way, but at the end of the day, it didn't go our way. It is what it is.
Did the crowd cause you to have any false starts Saturday, Gavin?
No. I was firing on all cylinders.
It was
my sentence right there.
I literally had to while the crowd was yelling during one play, I can't remember. I think I was talking to Melody, and I literally had to grab her by the head and yell into her ear one time to tell her something. So it was loud. I'll give him that. Like Harb said, I'll give him credit. It was very loud. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter that it broke the record and all that stuff. I think the record was like 133 for college at Washington Husky Stadium, but I just don't. Fake news. You're in Georgia. What do you expect? So,
I I gotta say one thing. The loudest it got was at the end of the third quarter when we crossed the 50.
Yes.
And it looked like we was gonna get something going. And we got a false start. And they sacked us.
And then another false
And they
start.
sacked us again. They got a false start. And like before third or fourth down, it was the end of the third quarter, if I'm remembering this correctly. And they cut off all the lights in the stadium. All the lights came red, and they played Fireman by Lil Wayne. And that
Yes, it did get that was
jumping.
that
It
was
was
pretty
jumping.
cool.
Oh, it was awesome. I wish I could have enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
and then that was the drive we got bailed out on the 4th and 28 face mask. That was so funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Good face
told-
mask though. I'm not gonna lie.
Did he get?
He
I
got
never
all-
saw it. Did
oh,
he
he
did
got
get his
all
money
up on
worth?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
got
got his
it.
money
I've never
worth.
seen it. I knew it had to be pretty bad for them to call it on 4th and 30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a pretty good one.
You know, my opinion is still this. That game was in Athens, tough environment. They had us right, you know, they had us at the right time in the schedule. They, you know, had several weeks to prepare for us, really. They weren't worried about playing Florida. So they knew Tennessee was going to be their one test at the end of the year to be able to win the East. It's just like, you know, that's how it is. They knew they were going to walk Florida, you know. So they had multiple weeks to prepare for this. I still think Alabama, that's the best quarterback in the SEC. Stetson
By
Bennett
far.
played good, but he's not Bryce Young by any means. And their defense, they're studs, man. There's several guys on that team that are playing the NFL one day, and you know they've had time to play with each other, you know, more so than we have. But I would absolutely love to play them again on the neutral field side.
Another
That's
shot,
what you were saying, kind of what I was thinking when I was at the game Saturday. That's you could look at Georgia and Tennessee. That's 4 and 5 years of a bunch of 4 and 5 stars coming through their program.
Right.
They're a mature program where Tennessee, you know, Heupel's really only had like one recruiting class, to be honest. That first year I don't really count because he came in so late, but you know, he's had one recruiting class and he's recruiting pretty well for this next class for 23, but that was the difference in those two programs Saturday. And two, I don't know if I said this last week or somebody else did, but that was really our first like true tough road game of the year. Pittsburgh, the stadium was half empty. LSU was a noon game. Everybody was still asleep.
But I
And
think LSU, we took them out early.
True.
Like we didn't take Georgia.
I've said this multiple
We didn't take
times.
them out early.
I probably wouldn't want to play LSU now because they hit their stride, but it would not have mattered what time of day we played that game. We would have beat them the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's anything like what Georgia's was, but you score a touchdown off of that fumble and just get one stop and you don't hear all that like craziness. My ears hurt. And I mean, they did the opposite though. They created that momentum and that wave and they let their crowd just take over.
Yeah,
Again, kudos to
us
them.
not scoring a touchdown off of that turnover on the first drive was big for them. I mean, I was glad we got points out of it, but and two, not just that first drive, but Hendon Hooker missed 3 or 4 guys running wide open down the field. I'm not saying he had a step or two on. Those guys did
doing some things he usually doesn't do, holding the ball, you know, not trusting his guys. Basically, is what it looked like. He's like, I need to make this play.
I painfully rewatched the game. A lot of times when he was holding the ball, it was because nobody was open. But he has to have that internal clock saying, "Hey, I got a jet. I got to make something out of this because he paid the price."
He took some unnecessary hits.
I did see a video and I loved it, and I really do love this group of guys. But in the fourth quarter, whenever they knew they were beat with 2 minutes left or whatever it was, Hooker had the offense on the sidelines, and they had a team meeting right there on the sidelines, and no telling what was said, but I have full confidence that this Missouri game is going to be something crazy because I guarantee you they promised each other it's not going to happen again. So I'm fired up. Tennessee's right where they need to be. you know, we have a great shot at being a Final Four team, and that's something that nobody on the basketball team can say right now. So, really.
Actually, I think they have a pretty good shot at Final Four.
Well, hold on. We're going to talk about basketball here in a minute. So speaking of, so Tennessee loses to Georgia 27-13. We scored late. I mean, really, I thought if we got that onside kick after getting up 13, we might have a chance because we moved the ball down the field when we scored that one touchdown. And we moved it earlier in the second half. We just turned the ball over and got penalties. Just killed us. But we lost by 14. The line, I think, on some was 12.5. It got a little lower than that on other lines. But it just felt like Tennessee, after that drive Georgia had in the third quarter, that it was over with. But moving on from that game, we got the college football playoffs to talk about. Gavin, who ever thought when we started this thing that we'd be talking about Tennessee in the college football playoff rankings? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? Hello? So Tennessee drops to 5th. Ahead of them, you got obviously Georgia at number 1. You got Ohio State 9-0 at number 2. Michigan 9-0 at number 3. TCU 9-0 at number 4. Right behind, I'll just read the top 10. Right behind Tennessee, you got Oregon at 8-1, LSU at 7-2. Who would have thought after we beat the tar out of LSU that they would be number 7? USC 8-1, Alabama 7-2, Clemson 8-1. Other SEC teams in the rankings, you got Ole Miss at 11. They're 8-1, and you got Kentucky at 24. How in the world they're still in it, I don't know.
Good for us.
But you got, it is. You got Florida State's in here at 23. They beat LSU earlier in the year, so that's helping LSU just a little bit. You got
helps us.
You got let's see, no one else in here of significance that helps UT. But I mean, if you look at it, Tennessee's beat number 7 LSU. They've beat number 9 Alabama. They've beat number 24 Kentucky. So they've got 3 wins against the top 24 currently. And they've played Georgia, LSU, Alabama, and Kentucky. So, I mean, they've played 3 teams in the top 9 already. And who knows who we play later on in the season. Of course, probably be in a bowl game at that point. So that doesn't make any sense. But I say all that to say is I kind of thought Tennessee would be 5 just because TCU was undefeated. But looking at it, I feel like Tennessee should still, even though they lost to Georgia by 2 touchdowns, that's Tennessee's only blemish on the schedule. And their resume is still better than TCU. Day Vol, you were pretty outspoken last night on our text chain about it. What do you think about the rankings, where Tennessee is and where you think they should be?
If I was voting, Tennessee would be number 5. But the criteria given in the previous week, Tennessee has to be 4 or 3 because they said it was all about schedule and yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, magically, because Bama loses, that strength of schedule doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, you have the only team that's got 3 top 25 wins. 2 of them are in the top 10. And you go ahead and move TCU up because they fought back in the second half when their entire beef with them, I guess, was they always got behind but managed to come back. So consistency, that's all I care about. I think Tennessee is where they should be. They're behind a potential champ in TCU, behind a potential champ in Ohio State, behind a potential champ in Michigan, and behind a potential champ in Georgia. And that's conference, of course. So I have no problem with it. It's just how they got there from the previous week. That's my issue with it.
I read this today. It was a list of the overall opponent record for the teams around us in the poll. Tennessee's opponents, their wins and losses are 50-31. LSU 50-31. Georgia 48-33. Clemson 47-34. TCU 41-40. Ohio State 40-41. Ole Miss 40-41, USC 40-41, Oregon 39-43, Michigan 38-45. So by looking at that, our opponents, I mean, we have our schedule is the toughest, tied for the toughest with LSU. The only thing I'm worried about, and our only saving grace is they're a 2-loss team, but if LSU beats Georgia in the SEC championship, they have a pretty good case to be picked.
All hell breaks loose if that happens.
I agree with you, and I think that Tennessee fans will have a bone to pick, but you can't leave it up in someone else's hands.
Right.
But
You can't.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But if it were to happen, I don't think we have to worry about Oregon beating or winning their conference championship and jumping us. And I don't think TCU is going to win out. So
Well, here's the thing: if TCU doesn't win out, which I don't think they will, and I know I've already went, but TCU doesn't win out. Ohio State, Michigan. I'm saying if Ohio State wins, Michigan's strength of schedule is absolutely awful, so they would be out. I think you get a Pac-12 champion in there for the first time.
Really,
I do, because
wasn't
they're
Washington-
looking at.
Washington
And
was
I
in
think.
there.
I think. Oh yeah,
Washington was in there a couple
Never
years
mind,
ago.
take it back. But they're looking at ratings too, as much
Yeah.
as they don't want to admit it.
Well,
And
here's
that's
gonna be-
another bonus for Tennessee.
Well,
because
you're right. They do want people to watch it because I think if I remember the last couple of years, the ratings have not been good for these games.
Yeah.
Because
They-
people
they-
were tired of Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah, they Tennessee's going to travel well. They're going. Our games with Florida and Alabama and LSU are amongst the top rated viewership across the country. So that may play into effect, which bodes very well for us.
The Georgia game was the highest rated game of any game all year
Yeah.
long.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that yet.
13, they said at one point there was 13 something million watching. That was more than games, the final game of the World Series and more than whatever game it was of the NBA Finals this past
Every
season.
game of the NBA Finals.
Or every game, yeah. But I mean, it's crazy. There
crazy.
was 13
You got to think
plus
though,
million.
I think that number is so like off because of people that watch in bars and people that watch at home with like 20 people. Like it's way more than 13.
Well, and they've
I
started
think
they've started counting streaming in there somehow too.
Yeah.
I think they give
Well,
like bars and stuff a specific number. Like when they
they
know that
figured
they're
that out
showing it,
somehow.
they
Well, I know how we do it at work when we pay for Sunday ticket or whatever. They count how many seats are in viewing of the TV. So I'm sure that part goes into viewership as well. So it's
Who
probably
knew
pretty accurate.
Harbin working at Aubrey's would pay off here on the Section YY podcast?
Look at me. Look at me.
Hey, looking at strength of schedule, teamrankings.com has Alabama 1, Tennessee 2. Our previous high was 3, so I'm assuming us playing Georgia moved them up.
yeah, that
You got
and
LSU.
our strength of schedule is going to drop, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got South Carolina coming up. They are 51st. Of course, you got Vandy. I don't know where to even
Yeah, that
scroll
one's
down to
gonna
the
hurt us.
bottom somewhere. And then we've got, who else do we have?
Missouri.
Missouri.
We'll still be top 10 strength of schedule.
Yeah, Missouri comes in here at 40. And then you got South Carolina with a 51st strength of schedule, and God knows where Vandy is. But you've got Georgia at 5, LSU at 4. I'm trying to find. I had Oregon here, and I've lost them.
Speaking
like
of TCU,
50s?
in the
29.
final 3 games of the season, they have the hardest remaining schedule in the country,
Texas.
according to ESPN's thing.
Texas,
Good.
Baylor, and who else?
Iowa State. I believe it's at Iowa State too.
Yeah. I think they're
Let's
gonna lose
see.
to Texas.
Of the teams that are ahead of or around us in the rankings, so you got Oregon is their strength of schedule right now is 29, so that's something to watch. They're well below Tennessee. Where'd they go? TCU, Texas Christian is at 20 right now. Theirs will probably shoot up because they're playing Texas this weekend. I think you said they got Baylor left too. Sorry, they're not at 20. They're 18. That's Texas A&M. Who else we got? Michigan. Where'd they go? I just saw them.
I feel like theirs is really bad.
Michigan. Theirs is not good. They're number 31. So not middle of the road, a little above middle of the road. But I mean, I think that's the ones you got to worry about. Ohio State, probably somewhere in there. They're 6. Their strength of schedule 6. And then I said Georgia, they're 5. So I think watching TCU and Oregon's probably the two we need to watch out for, because Ohio State and Michigan, one of those guys is going to lose.
Yeah.
We just got, first off, we got to take care of business and win out. It's like I texted you all last night, just win the damn game.
Yeah.
And then I think things will take care of itself. We need to win these games. We can't stumble. We can't stub our toe. And I don't think we can get away with looking bad maybe at South Carolina, but we can't get away with looking bad at Vandy and then this weekend.
We need 50 burgers. Okay.
Mhm.
50 burgers.
I'll tell you what, I heard this today and I agree with it. Michigan and Ohio State need to change the date of their game. They play that game so late in the year that whoever loses is kind of automatically out. If they need to play that thing earlier just to give them a better chance. You know what I mean?
I kind of like it, to be honest. I've always wanted Tennessee.
I like it
to
too. I don't
play
give a
later.
shit if either one of them make the playoff again. I'm just saying, if I was the president of both those schools, I would talk about having this thing at the beginning of October. That way, if one of them lost, then hey, they got some work to do. Maybe they can climb back in.
I think that's the part they love about it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
How many times? I remember back in 2006, they were 1-2 for this game, final game of the regular season. Whoever wins goes to the Rose Bowl and plays for the or whatever it was back then, plays for the national title. And it was this back and forth game, came down to the end. But I think that's what this game's always. I mean, it's called the game, so
Yeah,
that'd be kind of hard to move that one. I get it. I mean, that's a good point. So playoff rankings. Let's see who all ranks. I want to see where you all would rank everybody before we move on to the Missouri game. I'll tell you mine. I would rank it as follows: Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan. And I'll tell you why. And I'm confused as to why they did this, and I guess it's because they think that Ohio State and Michigan, one of those is going to lose, so they won't play each other. But 2 versus 3 is who plays in the semifinals. So why would you have Ohio State and Michigan playing each other in the semifinals right after they played? And I guess it's the here and now, but I would have Tennessee ahead of Michigan and then TCU at 5. I guess I don't believe in TCU. I've also not seen them play this year. Show me something against Texas this weekend and make me change my mind. But I've got TCU at 5. And then Oregon, only reason I've got Oregon at 6 is because they have 1 loss, and then LSU at 7. Those other, USC, I don't believe in them. Alabama, Clemson, they're done. Ole Miss, not good. So I think it's Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan. Really, Tennessee should be 4 in my book. But then you've got TCU, Oregon, LSU. So what do you all got?
Before they came out, I actually put it on Twitter, and go look. I had 1 through 7 exactly how they had it. And reason being, last week, TCU should have been ahead of Alabama. Which they weren't.
I agree with that.
But they should have been. I mean, they're undefeated. All they can do is win against who they're playing. And I knew we were gonna. There was probably a 15-20% chance we'd have landed at number 4, but I knew TCU was going to be at number 4. They've earned it. With that being said, they've got a tough road ahead of them. But we need to talk about how irritating ESPN is about talking about, or the lack thereof, of Tennessee between Herb Street and Reese Davis and that other boy. I was about to gouge my damn eyes out watching that stuff last night. That's awful.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't get to see. I was doing something else and didn't get to see it, but I was trying to listen to it on my phone with my earbuds in, and we were all texting each other too, so it was kind of hard to hear. But I caught on right when they announced the top 4 or 5, I guess. And they were talking about Tennessee. I guess Herb Street was talking about Tennessee compared to Oregon. His argument, still don't understand
Dumbest thing
it.
of all time.
I don't know
this
what
is
he
a
was talking
person
about.
that's played at that level and he comes out with that. That just, to me, it's clear bias. I don't care if you like Tennessee or not. Just stop with the, it's just like, it's clear as day. I mean, Austin Price called him out on it. It's not just a common fan seeing this stuff. It's people that cover a team and are pretty unbiased in their coverage. I feel they'll tell you if they're good or they're bad. And this dude's just spouting off ridiculous stuff. And then he gets his boys to follow along.
He said that Tennessee's loss, almost word for word, he said Tennessee's loss makes Oregon's loss to Georgia not look that bad.
He also said he literally didn't compare a 46-point loss and a 13-point loss. It had no weight in it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I know it was 2 months ago, but
because they're giving Bama credit for a 3-point loss. They lost. They got blitzed early, I mean, they lost. They had 5 TDs put up on them by one guy. That's ugly. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
No matter how you shake it.
Let me
still 3
let
points.
me
It was
ask you
competitive.
this. If we were the one that got beat by 46 and
Oh,
Oregon was the one that lost by 14,
We'd be 10th.
a 46-point loss and a 14-point loss would be a hell of a lot different to Herb Street.
We definitely wouldn't be 5th. We'd be 10th, like Day just said.
Yep.
Because they would hold that against us so badly. I mean, we're lucky that we're 5th, but they had to put us there. I mean, the chairman last night had some pretty generic, bland answers, which I thought he has to. But, I mean, look at our resume, man. It speaks for itself. We lost by 14 points to the number 1 team in the country. Okay, if we win
At their field.
at their field. If we win out and TCU and Michigan loses, and you put us up side by side with them, how could we not be in front of them? And then how could you put LSU? I keep seeing that a lot. How could you put LSU in front of us? Not only did we beat them head to head, they would have 2 losses.
Yeah.
I don't care if they win the SEC or not. They lost 2 games. We lost 1.
Yeah. And if
I
they
agree.
stick true to their former self, they put in Ohio State over 2 lost Penn State that won the division or won the conference for that matter. So
so my top 5 or 6 or whatever you want to call it. 1 Georgia. I put 2 Michigan. I think Michigan. Ohio State's played a couple of crappy games, to be honest with you. 2 Michigan, 3 Ohio State, and like I said, they'll take care of each other. 4 I had Tennessee just because of their resume. TCU is undefeated, but they play in a weaker conference. And if TCU played Tennessee's schedule, they probably have 2 losses. That's my personal opinion. 5 TCU. I would say 6 LSU, 7 Oregon. I would say 8 Alabama, and then 9 USC, 10 UCLA. I do think Alabama has lost to 2 very good teams. And if Alabama would play SC or UCLA, they would probably beat them. My personal opinion, because I think the Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-13, whatever it is dog shit. So go Vols.
Day, what's your rankings look like?
I pretty much gave it at the beginning. I think it's Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, then us at 5. Don't really care about the others, but if I had to, I would do LSU, Oregon, and I don't care about 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Good.
But this is Ohio State is so lucky that Tennessee went in there and got beat like they did, because I watched their game and that is not the number 2 ranked team in the nation. It was awful. I don't care if there's wind. We didn't get any. Well, it's pouring down rain. You couldn't see a hand in front of your face. So how are you supposed to throw the football to come back? They couldn't even run the ball against Northwestern. Like, it was ugly. And they did not pull away until 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter. It was really, really ugly.
My dream scenario, if Tennessee does get left out of the playoff, I would love to play Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl and beat the absolute dog out of them. Just as a consolation prize, if we did get left out of the playoffs, over some BS.
That would be
That would
nice,
be-
but I think we would have to play a Big 12 team in the Sugar Bowl. I think they have a contract with the SEC and Big
Oh,
12.
I thought it was Big Ten. I'm sorry.
I think it's Big 12.
Well-
We'd probably play somebody like Baylor.
Eh,
I hardly knew her.
We would probably get the
Mm.
loser of Texas TCU.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And TCU, they haven't looked bad. I've watched them a few times. They're fun. They're like
they're
us.
a fun team.
They're
Yeah.
fun.
But I mean, like
Fun.
I said, it's different.
They
Gavin? Sorry. Go ahead, Day.
no, you're good. You're good. Gavin, can go.
Gavin, what's your rankings?
I got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, and I won't go any farther, but to the two people that did have Michigan up, they were losing at half to Rutgers.
agree.
The
That's-
Rutgers.
That's ugly. That's ugly. I know Northwestern's also very ugly, but I don't know.
Michigan
Uh,
also won 52-17.
Yeah, Northwestern doesn't have a pulse, and they were staying in the game in the fourth quarter, deep into the fourth quarter.
I think the CTE damage has finally gotten to Curb Street, and I think it's directly related to Tennessee football.
Yeah.
So
Well, he does live in Nashville now, so he hears a lot more of it, but
I wish somebody would drop his address. God, that'd be great.
I mean, Tennessee or Vol Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they are hard on that dude. I don't know about the comments. I've listened to him 2 or 3 times about Bryce Young a couple weeks ago. I didn't read as much into it as a lot of people did, but he deserves a lot of what he gets for some of the things he says. I like Herb Street. I think he's a good analyst, but I don't know I just don't know what he's thinking sometimes. I like listening to him announce the actual football game. Now, his
Yeah.
analysis of the
Yeah.
teams and where they're at and all that, he's not very good.
I was gonna say
in my
when I
opinion.
went back and watched the Kentucky game, it was a very enjoyable, like
Yeah.
listening to them. But
He puts
you
the
go and
anal in analyst.
you go and listen to him
Oh.
talk about
Him
other
and
stuff.
Fowler are good. I mean, they are
Yeah,
good.
him and Fowler are very good. Fowler makes every game feel like a big game. Outside of us hating him or liking him or whatever you want to call it, when he's on a game, it makes it feel like a big game.
I mean, they're the number one crew for ESPN college football. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Tennessee just needs to take care of business.
That's the main
do-
thing. Tennessee's got to win
do-
their 3, win it right.
Do you think Hooker lost the Heisman on Saturday?
No.
Well, if
Did
okay,
CJ
here's the thing.
Stroud lose it?
He's moved. Okay, CJ Stroud 10 for 26 for 76 yards, no touchdowns, no rushing yards. That
Nothing.
vaults you in front of Hooker, who played the number 1 team in the nation. Yes, he didn't have a great game, but at the same time, he didn't look like that against a nobody.
Here's
He
one to
lost-
watch out. Here's one to watch out for. John Doty was texting my uncle too. Freaking Bo Nix has come out of nowhere. I know he's
Yeah.
having a great season, but he couldn't complete a pass in Auburn, and now he's
No.
he's in the Heisman
But
race.
look who they played and who they've done it against.
Yeah.
It's not impressive.
He shit
I-
on a shoe.
Hooker did not lose. I don't think he lost the Heisman last weekend. No, he didn't play great, but he's also playing one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
my
Unfortunately, he was
opinion-
on the biggest stage last week.
Yes. And I thought Georgia played probably their best game of the year besides that Oregon game. I mean,
Yeah.
they gave up
They
20.
brought
What did they
it.
give up to Georgia? 24, or sorry, to Florida, 24. And they were pedestrian in the second half. Maybe they were sleepwalking, but they were not sleepwalking Saturday. I promise you. Those guys were ready to play. It didn't help that Eric Ainge made some idiotic comments during the week about the crowd not being very loud or the loudest place in the conference. Only reason he said that's because he's won twice down there in 04 and 06. I mean, great. But
Eric
I
Ainge
just
is a
can't,
has been. Get
you
over
can't
it, buddy.
say stuff like that. Why would former players say stuff like that? I don't
Nobody
know.
cares about your 2014 GMC Denali Sierra either. It's over with, bud. You're a
Hmm.
has been. Pack it up. Go back to Oregon. The only reason you're popular is because your uncle owned the Celtics. Eat shit.
Wow. I like it.
Okay.
So
Speaking of Heisman talk, I really do think non-biasedly that we could see Stetson Bennett in New York.
Mm.
I really do. I don't want to. I don't like saying it out loud, but number one team. He's been putting up good numbers. He had a real good game against us because theoretically, or not theoretically, but most of his numbers came in the first half.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be up there. Which
But
and it's
he's
gonna be a
had
trial
some
joker.
really bad games too.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I know
He's had some
Heisman people
good
don't
ones and
really
good
look at you don't really use logic a lot. So, but he's got the most talent around him. And I think Hooker lost the Heisman when he decided to come to Tennessee, and
True.
because the Orange cannot win it. And that's it.
God, I wish I had this. I've got this button that I've had for years that's got what's that
Passwords?
cartoon? Calvin and Hobbes or whatever on it. You know the one you see on cars where the guy's peeing on like Ford logo or a Chevy logo or whatever. This has got the guy pissing on the Heisman Trophy, and it's got ABC logo below, ABC Sports logo. If one of y'all are talking here in a few minutes, I'll go try to see if I can find it. My closet's right here where it's at. But Tennessee can take care of business starting this weekend against 4-5 Missouri. They've been pretty solid defensively, I think. I haven't really got to watch them play much this year.
They looked awful against Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that score Saturday at the stadium. I was like 21-17. God, that must have been a snooze fest.
It was awful. It was hard to watch.
I'm reading it's College Football News has a preview. They have Tennessee winning 41-20. The line right now is 20.5 according to them. Over under 56.5.
Smash it. We're scoring 100.
We're getting it on our own. Tell them.
They said the Tigers
That's right.
defense. The Tigers defense is really good, but sort of like Tennessee's performance against Kentucky, a few big early plays will set the tone. The other side will have its moments. Missouri will seem like it always has the ball, but the explosion of the Vols will return. I kind of see a lot of the Kentucky team in Missouri. I think Tennessee, they might let them hang around for a little bit, but I think Tennessee comes out and takes care of business and wins this thing by a few scores.
Missouri is Kentucky without the good running back.
And coal mines.
And coal mines.
They might have
And they
coal
have-
mines up there, Gavin.
And they have a mathematician for a head coach, Gavin.
They extended that dork too, didn't they?
Yeah, he's up to like $6 million now.
Oh, what an idiot. What idiots.
makes more
They
than-
are Kentucky.
Apple.
Oh, what an idiot. What about that blocked punt? Did y'all see that? What was the blocked punt in that game? There was a situation.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
What's
wrong
going
call
on
was
with that? I mean,
Wrong call was made by rule. That should have been Missouri's ball at like the 29 or whatever.
I mean, we're just trying to get Kentucky to a bowl game. I mean, God, those mouth breathers don't need anything. They need to go back down to the earth.
Hell yeah.
Liberty beat Arkansas. That was exciting.
I told you all last
Go
week that was
Flames.
going to be an interesting game.
Freeze. You think he comes back to the SEC?
If they let him,
Who?
Freeze.
Freeze?
he's been blackballed, man. It's
Yeah,
all up to Sankey. He's got too much power. Or
I'm
not
curious.
Sankey.
I'm curious
What's
to
his-
see.
Yeah, it's Sankey.
I'm curious to see who Auburn hires. I think they're gonna do something sexy.
They have to.
Nice.
Here,
I've got all of these. Bowling don't know what these are. I've got all of these buttons that they used to
Yeah.
give us for recycling.
I got
So-
to hear Kitty up here.
Southern Miss. Let's see. There's some more here. I can't find the Heisman, but I'll find it for next week.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
Take out the scraps. Texas, North Texas.
This is really bad. Why are you showing this stuff?
Hell yeah, Tennessee, Georgia. I don't know. Oh, here's one. Don't get cocky.
You need to wear that 2 weeks.
Where? That's in South Carolina.
That's right.
I'll find that Heisman button and have it for next week. I'll look after the show. So I think we all think Tennessee takes care of business this week. Pounds Missouri, hopefully. I was looking at the weather earlier. Bowling kind of scared me a little bit because
Cold.
it said it was supposed to be sunny, but cooler. Now they're saying it's changed. The rain showers early, overcast skies later, high around 50. It's going to be a little cold Saturday.
I mean, compared to what we're getting this week, it'll feel really cold, but it's not like super
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah, it's been 80, upper 70s, low 80s every day this week here in Knoxville. Global warming, Gavin.
Because they're mining up in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, it's all the Kentucky miners' fault.
All those mountaintops getting taken off.
Yep. Too bad. Sad. All right.
So-
Tennessee football. Anything else before we move on?
Well, I was just looking at these Missouri numbers. They're giving up 296 passing yards per game, and their last 4 games have came against the juggernauts of Kentucky, South Carolina, Vandy, and Florida.
Ooh.
And then obviously the Georgia game, which everybody's got their opinions on that one. They lost to Auburn in overtime. Everybody knows Auburn ain't worth shit. Their statement victory of the year was 34-17 over Abilene Christian. And that was the closest their quarterback got to 300 yards, and he got 295. Outside of Georgia, the only team that I would say is good that they played is Kansas State. They got beat 40-12.
Yikes.
I don't think anybody needs to be talking about this being a trap game.
No. And we're
I don't
playing
know
at
why it would
home.
be.
We're playing at home. It's senior day.
Senior day.
I just think
Tennessee fans,
we got a bad
have to
taste in our
stop-
mouth.
Tennessee fans have to stop being afraid to play teams.
we're
play
afraid of
teams
everybody. I mean,
like,
just think.
get over.
Well,
it.
I saw
People
I saw somebody in the national media saying it's a trap game, and I was like, that's the dumbest
I saw
thing
it
I've ever
too.
heard.
If we were
Trap
playing
game.
Georgia the next week, then I could see them saying it's a trap game. But we're not. This Tennessee is going to walk to the playoff.
Well, I think that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people were saying about the Kentucky game. That could have been a trap game because you had Georgia the next week, and you could. Yeah, Tennessee was better than them, and obviously we didn't look ahead, but that team could have easily looked ahead. That is a definition of a trap game.
Trap game.
Yeah.
What are we looking ahead to South Carolina? I don't think so.
And I know that this sounds silly, but so far under Heupel, noon games, man, we put up a lot of points in noon games. I would like to see the numbers.
Yeah, I never thought about that. You're right. I mean, South Carolina last year was a noon game. LSU this year.
Missouri was a good
Missouri was a noon game
Missouri
last
last
year, 62
year.
points or whatever it was.
Who'd we play this year a couple weeks ago when my
UT
cousin got
Martin.
married? UT Martin.
Martin.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
we had
didn't really-
52 at half or whatever it was.
God, Gavin, I'm looking at a picture here.
Man,
I
if we put
typed
up
in-
52 at half against Missouri, whoa.
I typed in Drinkwitz. This guy. What in the world am I looking at here?
He's a
It's
dork.
Gavin with glasses.
You get
Hey,
oh
Man, good word.
He's on mute, so he
Jeez.
can't even say anything.
who's worse as a human,
Ooh.
him or Beamer?
Ooh.
who's worse as a human?
Oh, they said it because
Yeah,
you were on
like
mute.
who's the most cringe?
My
Is
God.
it Drinkwitz or is it Beamer?
Oh, Beamer.
Oh, Beamer.
Beamer's
Yeah,
awful.
Beamer all day.
Drinkwitz ain't too far behind. though.
Dorkwitz got a contract extension that will pay him $6 million in 2023, which is next year, and $7 million annually by the last year of his deal in 2027.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
So they extended this dude to 2027. What is this, his third year? I can't remember.
Third year.
Third year. He's not done anything. He went to a bowl game last year. Who cares?
They're
I don't know.
4-5.
I'm
That's
They're
their
telling you,
4-5,
expectation.
and their best win is South Carolina.
these athletic departments, I don't get it. Like they like freak out and have to extend these coaches. The agents must have them by the balls or something. But I mean, you can't tell me that Nick Saban is worth 10 million or whatever it is he's making. Kirby Smart's right there with him. They're going back and forth. Think about that out loud. A man is coaching a bunch of kids in a sport and is making $10 million a year. And then they get fired. The guy at Wisconsin got what, 12 million to go away or something like that. And then
What did Frost get? Like 18?
Yeah,
Frost
something
got
like
fired.
that. But then who got fired a couple weeks ago that got 15
Harsin.
and a half? Yeah, Harsin at Auburn.
Yep.
$15.5 million buyout.
Well, I mean,
He's
just
owed
think,
$7 million in the next 30 days.
if they fire Texas A&M guru
Jimbo.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
90 million.
$90 million buyout.
For what?
Oh my
Full-time
God. dude,
Like,
that is-
why did he deserve that? He has a natty. I
It's
get
so
it.
bad.
But
It's
what has he
fun- it's
done there
comical.
to deserve that? Nothing.
That's
He hadn't had a
something
good season yet.
That's so Tennessee. It hurts though. Can you imagine?
Let them be stupid. That's fine.
We do need
mean,
to find out what this formula is because
There it
somehow
is,
somebody's
yes.
getting paid.
That's the picture I was referring to. He's a
He's-
mathematician.
He's adding up how much his buyout is, so when he loses the rest of his games, he can get all of it.
Hey, I've got a picture for you, Gavin.
What is it?
Hold on,
Is
I'll
it,
show
is
to
it
you.
that fat clown? Because if you're going to show me,
I hope
Phil-
I find it before bowling does. I mean, is it worse than that one?
Yeah.
No.
No, this one's actually a
Butch
good one.
Jones holding whatever that. What is that? A flute?
We paid him 12 million to go away. Jeez. Do you have a phone
Grief.
from like 1920?
No.
Who, me?
Yeah, you,
Gavin.
Niece.
There it is. So
Yeah.
that was
Gavin.
I took that picture in the skybox. That's Big Montana talking to Philip Fulmer,
Yeah.
and they were
I-
both wearing tuxedos to the game.
It was rumored that Big Montana gulped his bathwater afterwards, too.
No.
You
We just
don't have
talked-
to talk
we
into
just-
the mic. We can-
We just talked.
Yeah.
We just talked about national championship rings and
If he even started on his own accomplishments, that's the smartest thing he's ever done.
Oh my
Gavin,
gosh.
what are
What's
you
that?
going to do one day when they erect a statue of him? And yes, I did
tear it
say
down.
erect.
Tear it
They
down.
won't. They won't. They won't.
They won't.
Yeah, they
He
will.
was- I was
Hey,
telling
Bowling.
him. He was
Oh,
telling me
no.
where the bodies were buried, right there.
He did too much
He ate
damage
'em.
in the end of his career for them to
Bowling,
put
have
a
his
statue
people
up.
reached out to your people yet about getting them on a show?
We're still in talk. He is a little rattled by Gavin. And
Good.
it's like- he said, well,
Rattled
how
by
could
Gavin.
anyone in
Ain't worried
Tennessee
about
hate
Gavin.
me? And I was like, well, he was born in like the year 2000.
It's
so he doesn't-
exactly what he should say. He's the most selfish person I know. Stealing money from the university.
Got a
after
point.
he
Good Christian man.
yeah.
On the
The only thing-
Philip Fulmer note, it's 10:15. I stayed extra. I gotta go watch Manifest. The Tennessee basketball team looks great. Key has the prettiest jumper we've had it on a team in a long time.
They
Ziggy
always look
looks
good
really
until the
good.
grass
Hey,
starts
no.
growing.
That has nothing to do with what they're gonna do in the future. Key has the
Let
prettiest
Day Day
jumper
have his time so he can go watch his soap
had
opera.
in a long time. I mean, maybe Allen Houston. It's been that long since we've had somebody that shoots with that good a form. Ziggy looked good.
Chris Lofton.
Chris Lofton, go look at his form. It wasn't impeccable form.
That
Okay.
shit was
Kinda
better.
sideways.
No, he
Still
was a
went in.
pure shooter. There's a difference between the form and being a pure shooter.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's pretty. Okay.
Fair.
But basketball team's gonna be okay. I want to see what they do, of course, in SEC play. I think they'll be fine. They got some good challenges coming up. They shot like 45 threes the other night. It was insane. It was like watching a rec league game. They were just jacking. But they could in a game like that.
Yeah, they
Tennessee's gonna beat
shot
Missouri.
44.
Yeah, let's get
44,
that.
yeah.
Let's get that score prediction before you go.
Yeah, give us a score prediction before you go watch your soap opera.
It's not a soap opera. It's called Manifest. Look it up. 52-17 Vols. Okay. Because
Hammered.
we're putting a 52 or we're putting a 50 burger up the rest of the year.
I like it.
Maybe a
And that-
maybe a
and that-
60 burger.
That is 69 total points, so I'm here for it.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
All
So,
Day, are you out or are you hanging around?
I'm out. I'm going to watch
Day
my
is
soap
out.
opera.
Thanks for joining us this week. Day Vol,
was
everybody
wonderful.
from Morristown. Let's
Go
give him a
Vols,
round of
Day-Day.
applause.
Thank you, Day Day.
See you guys.
See you
Saturday.
Saturday in Z11.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Maybe. No, I will be there. Day's gone. All right. Tennessee basketball, real quick. Got a few minutes left. They beat Tennessee Tech to officially open the season 75-43. Like Day said, Tennessee was 14 of 44 from 3-point range. They're going to shoot threes this year. Listening to Rick Barnes and them after the game, they're going to shoot a bunch of threes this year. So just get used to it. So,
Yep.
which is fine. I'm fine with that. pretty much the game now. So,
Until you can't hit them.
I mean, it cost them there in the. I think they got a little 3 happy last year against Michigan, but I don't know. Barnes seems to think that this team, he wants them to shoot it, and they're going to. He said they charted in practice, and they did come out slow the other day in the first half. I think they shot like 9 or 10 in a row and missed them, but then they came out in the second half and couldn't miss there early on. But they've got a game this Sunday at Nashville, Bridgestone Arena, 2:00 Eastern time, 1:00 Central against Colorado. That wraps up that 3-game series. And then they're back home next Wednesday against Florida Gulf Coast at Thompson Bowling Arena. So then they go to the Bahamas after that for Thanksgiving. But yeah, they got a game Sunday against Colorado, probably a little bit better test than Tennessee Tech, but
Florida Gulf Coast beat a Power 5 team last night or 2 nights ago. Just something to keep in mind. Don't overlook that.
And yeah, I saw that. There were some crazy games to start. I don't know if y'all how much college basketball y'all watched the other night. There were some crazy endings going on out there.
There was like 6 or 7 Power 5 teams lose by games to like lower than mid-major. Yeah, like it was crazy.
And Tennessee had a pretty highly rated signing class. I think it's rated number 8 right now, and they signed today. Cameron Carr, a guard out of Minnesota. He's the number 87 player in the class of 2023. Freddie, I think it's DeLeon out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, point guard. He's the number 24 player overall in the class of 23. Pretty highly rated player. JP Australia, I think is how you say it, a forward out of Scarborough, Maine. And they think he might be more of a project. He grew a lot. He was 6'2" as a freshman. Now he's 6'11". That's crazy. And there was one other, Cade Phillips, another I think could be project, but they're still highly rated. He was the number 1 prospect out of the state of Alabama for the class of 23. So I don't know. It's a pretty good, another great recruiting class. I mean, it didn't really have a 5-star in it like we've had, but I mean, Rick Barnes and his staff continue to recruit at a high level. Just got to win in March.
Tough. I can't put my basketball hat on yet, so I'm going to just keep trucking along with football since we're pretty good.
And Tennessee baseball played last weekend.
Huge turnout. Saw that.
Yeah, they posted some pictures on the gram, and they had an exhibition with Memphis at Jackson, Tennessee, where the Generals used to play, right there off of Interstate 40. I'm trying to pull it up. The last I saw, I think they were playing Sunday. They were up like 9-1, something like that. So, but yeah, like Harb said, a huge crowd showed up for that. I think Tennessee fans would show up to a game if we played in the Egyptian Sahara Desert or something like that.
100%.
Like Nebraska fans, God bless them, went all the way over to Dublin to watch that crap against Northwestern to start the year.
Coolest thing about that game was apparently the card readers in the stadium went down in the around halftime or third quarter, and they just started giving beers out for free because it was card only. They weren't accepting paper.
So,
they just started giving beer out.
Oh, really? It
Yeah.
says here the Vols won the first 9 innings against Memphis State 9-1, and then led 9-2 through the first 2 innings of the second 9 innings. This guy that was watching it said, "I departed after the day's 11th inning." So he didn't even stay. But it sounds like Tennessee, of course, Memphis isn't really a powerhouse baseball program, but we blew them out. So, all right, we're running short on time. I'm like Tony Schiavone, Harbin. We're out of time. We'll see you next week. Final thoughts. Somebody start. Go ahead.
Tennessee puts up at least 50 points against Missouri. I don't think Missouri scores 2 touchdowns in this game. Tennessee basketball is going to be great all season long. We're going to beat Kentucky, beat Arkansas, beat Auburn. We'll probably be the SEC East champions.
There's no division.
SEC champions, either in the regular season or in the tournament again. and then get beat by Oregon State in the second round of the March Madness. So fired up.
Hard final thoughts.
I think this Missouri game is going to go very similar to the Kentucky game. We may get 50, but I'm thinking that Missouri will be lucky to get 10 to 13 points. As far as basketball goes, I didn't get to watch much of the game. I was bartending while it was going on. We're going to be fine. We're going to hover between number 7 and number 16 throughout the whole year. I just want to see it get done in March. And no, I mean, I love Rick Barnes, but we got to see it. It's kind of getting to that point where it's kind of annoying.
Agree.
And baseball's baseball. We're going to be dick slapping folks when spring rolls around. So there it is. Go Vols.
Gavin, final thoughts.
Tennessee football 63-13. Twax them. Tennessee basketball, good all season long. Probably make some noise in the SEC tournament. Might even win the thing again. That would be fun. March maybe. I don't know. Baseball will be cocky and loud and flashy, and it'll be awesome.
My final thought is come by the tailgate this Saturday, last tailgate of the year, rain or shine, we'll be there. Hard, Big Montana, and myself. I'll have stickers there to hand out. Tennessee takes care of Missouri this weekend. Fans, we are out of time. We will see you next week on Monday Nitro.
Go Vols.
Section YY8 podcast. Appreciate everybody listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you guys next week here on the Section YY8 podcast.